Who's ready for some midweek MACtion? If you're not, you better get ready. Welcome back to the Gridiron Expert, bringing you some of the best college football news, predictions, and analysis. And today we are bringing you our 2019 MAC predictions recap. This is our fourth Group of 5 conference recap, leading up to the end of our prediction season that will be capped off with our college football playoff and New Year's 6 bowl game predictions. And we'll start over here in the Eastern Division of the MAC, kicking things off with the Ohio Bobcats, a team that has not won the MAC since 1968. And in years past, they have certainly had the team to win the title. It just continues to elude them. Last year, they lost just 2 games in conference play, both road games to Northern Illinois and Miami, Ohio. But this year, they get to host both of those opponents, and their toughest game in conference play will probably be a road game at Buffalo. But luckily for the Bobcats, the Bulls are very depleted in 2019. Nothing compared to the team that they were that made a run at the MAC title last season. The Bobcats returned the best quarterback in the entire conference with quarterback Nathan Rourke, and they returned 6 starters on defense from a unit that has held opponents to under 25 points per game for 3 straight years. I expect it to be a 4th straight year for Ohio, and this team has a very good chance at capturing their first title since 1968. We have them sitting at 10-2, 8-0 in conference play, not losing a single game in conference play this year. Coming in at number 2, you can see a significant drop-off, a 3-game swing, as a matter of fact, when it comes to conference play. Miami, Ohio, coming in with a 6-6 record in conference or overall, and it's kind of hard to believe that we even have the Red Hawks coming in here at bowl eligibility, considering how much they lost. They lost their quarterback in Gus Ragland. They lost their running back in Alonzo Smith. They lost 2 of their top 5 wide receivers and 3 of their top 6 tacklers. So many people, after seeing that, would have the Red Hawks going from bowl eligibility last year, dropping down to 4 wins in 2019. But that's just simply not going to be the case. The key for them is obviously going to be quarterback play. If someone can step in there and replace Gus Ragland and do a good job of it, then maybe you can see Miami, Ohio get to 6 wins. If they fail to do that and the quarterback play is subpar, you might see Miami, Ohio drop outside of bowl eligibility. But one thing we have to keep in mind is Chuck Martin has been doing a phenomenal job with this program. This is still a team and still a coach that led a team to an 0-6 record to kick off the year back in 2016 and then won their final 6 games to go bowling. Have faith in Miami, Ohio. I certainly do. Buffalo coming in at number 3, a team that made an appearance in the MAC championship game last year, won the East, but ended up falling to Northern Illinois. And now they lose so much talent. Like we mentioned with Miami, they lose their quarterback and Tyree Jackson, who departed early for some reason. If he had stuck around, this Buffalo team would be much more competitive and much more challenging in 2019. He was nowhere near NFL ready, but decided to depart the Bulls, and now they have to have a major rebuilding year. Lance Leopold was dealt a very difficult hand in 2019. After losing Jackson, he loses his top 2 wide receivers in Anthony Johnson and KJ Osborne. So, of course, after losing so much talent through the passing game, Buffalo's going to rely more on their running game and sophomore running back Jarrett Patterson, who rushed for over 1,000 yards and 14 touchdowns as just a freshman last year. This Buffalo team, led by Leopold, is not going to go from a MAC contender last year to, kind of like Miami, a non-MAC contender, a team that's going to not go bowling. I have them sitting at 6-6, 5-3 in conference play. Obviously, Miami getting the edge and tiebreaker in that one, but Buffalo still a contender as long as they can replace those key pieces on the offensive side of the ball. Then we have Kent State coming in at 4th, sitting at 5-7 and 4-4 in conference play. And it was just 6 years ago that Kent State, back in 2012, went undefeated in the MAC. But since then, they have been 10-37 in conference play, only winning 10 conference games the past 6 years. Sean Lewis is entering his 2nd year as head coach with the Golden Flashes and has a very experienced team. 9 starters back on offense, 6 starters back on defense. Last year, they had their best offense since 2012. Expect those numbers to increase drastically in 2019 with those 9 returning starters back, including their quarterback Woody Barrett and Joel Shaw at running back. So this Kent State team is just a couple plays away, I think, from maybe getting to bowl eligibility. I think Sean Lewis takes a major step forward in his second year at the helm. And then at the bottom, in the cellar of the East, you have Akron and Bowling Green, and that really shouldn't come as a surprise to anybody. Neither of these two squads are going to be that competitive, both dealing with kind of a major rebuilding year. And we'll start with Akron, a team being led by Tom Arth, brand new head coach for the Zips, coming over from Chattanooga out of the FCS. I have a lot of faith in Cato Nelson at quarterback. They returned 7 starters offensively, so you can expect Akron to maybe put up some points. But the defense is what's going to be their downfall, with just 3 returning starters. With that inexperience defensively and a brand new head coach and a team that only went 4-8 last year, I don't see Akron really improving much on that record. We had them major rebuilding year in 2019, makes sense, 2-10, but does snag a win in conference play. We then have Bowling Green coming in at last. Same thing, dealing with a brand new head coach, 2-10 overall, 1-7 in conference play. So as you can see, Akron owning the edge over the Falcons there, getting that tiebreaker there. But Scott Loeffler coming in, a brand new head coach of the Falcons, the former offensive coordinator at multiple schools, but most recently at Boston College. He has to deal with a brand new quarterback as well. 7 returning starters on offense and 5 starters back on defense, from a unit that allowed 40 points per game in 2018. Once again, a major rebuilding year, much like Akron will face in 2019. So we've got Ohio coming out of the East. Moving over to the West, it shouldn't be much of a surprise to see Toledo, who for the past few years has been probably the toughest team to beat in the MAC, but has yet only captured 1 conference championship. Toledo, the past 4 years, or the previous 4 years, have won 9 or more games. That led up to last year when they went just a disappointing 7-6. So from 2014 to 2017, you saw them win 9 or more. Last year, only 7, including a loss in their bowl game to Florida International. But I believe Jason Candle is going to get this team back on track. Back on track to being contenders in the MAC. They get to host Western Michigan, Eastern Michigan, Northern Illinois, so their top 3 competitors in the Western Division, and then they get a key out-of-conference game against BYU that has to visit the Glass Bowl. And speaking of that, it should be noted that Toledo has only lost 4 MAC home games the past 5 seasons. In the past 5 years, they've only lost 4 games at home to MAC opponents. And when they're getting to host those top 3 opponents at home, it once again shows how difficult it is for any team to come into the Glass Bowl. I don't see them losing many, if any, at home this year. Only 1 conference loss. Toledo wins the West, back on track with a 9-3 record. Western Michigan, Eastern Michigan, and Northern Illinois all tied at 5-3 in conference play, fighting for that second spot. And maybe if Toledo slips up somewhere along the way, trying to fight for a spot in the conference championship game. We'll start with Western Michigan coming in at 7-5, owning the tiebreaker over Eastern Michigan, both of those schools having identical records, both overall and in conference play. Tim Lester is entering his 3rd year with the Broncos ever since P.J. Fleck left after that magical 13-1 record just 4 years ago, making an appearance in the Cotton Bowl. Now, we mentioned Nathan Rourke is the best quarterback in the MAC. John Wasink is the 2nd best quarterback in the MAC, doing phenomenal things with the Broncos last year, putting up some great stats. And their running back, Levante Bellamy, rushing for over 1,200 yards last year. This offense not going to take much of a step back, if at all, in 2019. What's even scarier is that while their offense is going to remain potent, the defense returned 10 starters. So this Western Michigan squad has the talent to challenge Toledo for the number 1 spot, until you listen to their schedule, where they have to go to Toledo, to Eastern Michigan, to Ohio, and to Northern Illinois. So 4 very difficult road games. If they could just host half of those, Western Michigan can maybe get a couple of those wins and challenge Toledo. But right now, we have them at number 2 due to a very difficult schedule. Eastern Michigan coming in at 7-5, 5-3 also in conference play. They made their 2nd bowl game in the past 3 years after having not made a bowl game since 1987. And unfortunately for the Eagles, they lost another heartbreaking bowl game in heartbreaking fashion, losing on a game-winning field goal as time expired to Georgia Southern to fall 23-21. But the Eagles had the talent to get back to their 3rd bowl game in the past 4 seasons. And they have a dual-threat quarterback in Mike Glass that can do just that. The problem is the defense has to improve. They only return 4 starters defensively. They will get tested early. The Eagles have 3 straight road games to kick off the season, not playing a home game until week 4. So 3 road tests will challenge that defense, get them prepared for MAC play. I think they do rise up to the challenge, win 5 conference games, win 7 overall, and do get back to the postseason. We have Northern Illinois coming in at 6-6, 5-3 overall in conference play. And for Huskies fans, that's kind of out of the norm. Northern Illinois is used to competing for a spot in the MAC championship game, for winning titles, much like they did many, many years ago, consistently at least. But Thomas Hammock, brand new head coach, taking over for the Huskies. He was the Ravens running back coach since 2014 and also played running back here at Northern Illinois. And he inherits a talented Huskies team, no doubt. He gets a veteran quarterback in Marcus Childers, throwing for over 2,100 yards and 15 touchdowns last year. And he gets a solid running back in Trey Harbison, who rushed for over 1,000 yards last year. The defense returned 7, allowed just 22.6 points per game last year, and those numbers could increase and be better in 2019. But once again, a difficult schedule, and anytime you inherit a brand new head coach, it's difficult for teams to adjust. We have the Huskies still making a bowl game, though, at 6-6, winning 5 conference games. The out-of-conference just brutal for Northern Illinois this season. And, of course, like Akron and Bowling Green, we have 2 stellar dwellers in the West, Ball State, Central Michigan. Ball State will start with going 3-9, 1-7 in conference play, so like Akron and Bowling Green, only winning 1 game in MAC play. Mike New is entering his 4th year with the Cardinals, but he's just 10-26 during his time with this team. They face the toughest MAC schedule out of any team in this conference this year. They have to play Northern Illinois on the road, Eastern Michigan on the road, Western Michigan on the road, and then draw Ohio and Miami out of the East. So a very difficult MAC schedule along with a very difficult out-of-conference schedule. Just don't see Ball State getting to a bowl game this season. They have a lot of talent, 17 returning starters total. Probably just not going to get there. 3-9, 1-7. And then Central Michigan, an interesting storyline, an interesting team in the MAC because they've got a lot of SEC talent this year. Jim McElwain is coming back. The former head coach at Florida takes over as head coach for the Chippewas, and he will be coaching Quentin Dormady, the former quarterback over at Tennessee. He's using his final year of eligibility to play with the Chippewas, a team that just went 1-11 last year. We had them tripling that win total, going 3-9, 1-7 in McElwain's first year, and despite going 1-11 last year, only allowed 27.3 points per game. The offense will definitely take a major step forward. The defense, despite being solid last year, only returns 3 starters. Those numbers will get a little bit worse. McElwain's team's 3-9, but if he sticks around, could have them bowling in 2020. So, we've broken everything down. You have Ohio versus Toledo for the MAC championship. 2 teams that will boast a very explosive offense. 2 teams that can put up a lot of points in this game. Who's it going to come down to? It's going to be Nathan Rourke versus Toledo's dominant passing attack. It's going to be Ohio, who hasn't won since 1968, versus Toledo, who just won a few years ago and has been one of the most dominant teams in the MAC the past few seasons. But unfortunately for Toledo, this game will not be played at the Glass Bowl. And I have the Bobcats, led by Nathan Rourke, led by one of the best Ohio teams we've seen in recent memory, to win their first MAC championship since 1968. The Bobcats will capture the MAC. They will finish with 11 wins. Maybe will even be in discussion for a New Year's Six bowl game, but nonetheless, capturing that title that has eluded them for so long, capturing 11 wins and a chance at 12 if they can win in the postseason. So guys, as always, thank you for watching us here on YouTube. Go check us out on Twitter and Instagram at Gridiron Expert. And also, go check out our official website, thegridironexpert.com. Sign up for our newsletter and sign up for our expert picks. For just $30, you will receive every single one of our 2019 college football spread picks, including the postseason. And I can promise you that's a deal you do not want to pass up. So join our team, sign up today only at thegridironexpert.com. And once again, thank you for watching us here on YouTube. Please continue to like, comment, and subscribe. And we will see you next time on The Gridiron Expert.